Good morning, everyone. I am back for another journal spotlight here on the Turquoise Iris page, as well as the Turquoise Iris Journal. So if you are joining us, it's 11 a.m. Central Time, it's 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and we have the lovely couple, Jami and Zeb Ray of Jami Ray Vintage. Hi, friends.
Hello.
I'm so glad y'all are here. It's so good to see you guys. So all the kids are off to school?
Yes. For now.
Parents are still here. So if my mom or dad walk by or my sister's visiting, you might see that. But other than that, the children are gone.
Well, I didn't know if your kids were going to schools or how it was happening, or if yours has started yet. So many kids in the country start after Labor Day.
I wish.
Yeah, that would be nice. Our kids have been in school for 2.5 weeks now.
Yeah.
Same, absolutely. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for stopping by and saying hello. Lisa and Stephanie and Ann, I see you guys. I have two of my favorite people, Jami and Zeb Ray, joining me. They were featured in issue 4 of the Turquoise Iris Journal. Their gorgeous farmhouse that they worked on for what seemed like
forever.
Forever for you guys. How many months or years?
So it was 18 months, a year and a half. We're talking baby terms, 18 months.
Yeah, I could have had 2 babies for this house.
Well, you guys, you can see behind them their gorgeous kitchen sitting behind them. And I want to hear, really what I want to hear, you guys, is we featured the farmhouse and you guys took stunning photos. And I think there was a front porch remodel at the very last minute.
Yes, there was.
I have to use any excuse I can to get projects finished. So I was like, Dionne really wants this porch to look good, Zeb. I blamed you. I mean,
I photoshopped the grass a little bit, but it's all right. It's all torn up from putting some landscaping in there, and the sod died because it was like 105 degrees. So
it was totally last minute, but you know what? That's just the way life is when you're doing your own projects. You kind of have to give yourself grace, because most people, when you buy a house and you move in and it's a brand new house, everything's finished. But when you've been doing the work yourself and you don't have any contractor to force to finish it before you move in, you kind of just do things over time.
Exactly. Because you know what? It'll eventually get done. It always does, right, Zeb?
Yeah, sure. Jamie's still waiting for the day when I'm like, okay, go around with the blue tape and mark everything you want me to fix.
I told him that's the 1-year mark, right? After you get a new house, you have 1 year and then you blue tape it and the contractor comes back and fixes all the orders, right?
Sure.
So I hear that's a thing. I really do, Jami. But I want to hear the story of how it kind of came about, because I met Jami, you guys. It's literally been almost exactly 4 years ago today. Like, I think it was September of 2017 that I met Jami, and had not met Zeb yet. But since then, we've spent many different occasions together. We even traveled to Paris, and Zeb saved my life and everyone else's life. So you guys, and then some. So good morning. Good morning, everybody. So tell me why a farmhouse? Like, were you looking for a house? Were you specifically looking for an old house, or did you just need to expand because family of 7?
Yeah, so a little bit of both. We were renting from my cousin, and it was going to be a temporary, maybe couple years thing when we first started doing that. And 9 years later, we were still in that same house. We had started running Jami Ray Vintage together out of the garage, and that was interesting and a lot of fun. But
it's still
yeah, and we still do it out of the garage. But I was tired of renting. There was a bunch of stuff that we wanted to do to the house, and we couldn't because it was my cousin's house. I mean, she let us do a couple things like paint the kitchen and put some board and batten around the living room and dining room area, little things like that, but nothing like we did to the farmhouse here. So that's really what we wanted. We wanted a project like that where we could dive in.
Like, we didn't know that we were going to buy this house. Like, it's a little bit interesting in that, like, 2 years prior to when we purchased this house, we announced on YouTube that we were going to go live or do 5 videos a week, not go live, but do 5 videos a week, and that we wanted to, in 1 year, buy a house. Really what I was hoping was going to happen is we wouldn't grow, we wouldn't make any money, and this one would quit bugging me about making YouTube videos, because I'm all like dollars and cents, right? So I'm like, this thing is taking forever, YouTube's not growing, so I'll just do this and it'll kill us both after a year and we'll be able to give it up and move on with our life. So
Catch was they were all edited videos. We didn't do any
we
live
didn't do any
videos at
lives
the
back then.
time.
They were all edited. Our business took off. We still didn't buy a house in a year, but we kind of put it on the back burner. And we wanted to, but we didn't know how, because when you're self-employed, I don't know how many people here are self-employed, but it's hard to have verifiable income. It's hard to have great credit. We had some credit issues that had happened in the past that we need to work past. We had to come with 20% down, and we didn't have to have another house like that we could take equity from. So that was a huge chunk of change, like a lot of like barriers in the way. And one day my friend, who happens to be a realtor, said, just, this house is a piece of junk. You're not going to want to buy it, but just look at it. And we hadn't been looking. Like, we'd looked at 0 houses. And so we walked through this house, and I was like, Zeb, we should buy this house. And I remember him looking at me like, because it was bad. We have a video with the inspector goes through and.
So before the inspector even came out with us on our initial walkthrough, I'm looking at stuff. They still had knob and tube wiring and fuse breakers and
all the fire alarms were like not functional. I'm so glad it didn't burn down before we get like just a lot of really bad things. And so we told our realtor, we said, we'll talk to your broker who also does mortgages, and let's see if he thinks we could finance it. Because in my mind, kind of like with, I like to call people's bluff, right? So kind of like with the 5 videos a week, I'm like, yeah, we'll buy this house if you can figure out how to finance it. Well, I mean, obviously it worked out, but it was crazy because we didn't do tax returns. We did 2 years worth of bank statements. So they reviewed 2 years, and if you've ever done a mortgage, that's like a lot of information to give them. 2 years worth of bank statements, and my credit score was exactly where it had to be, like within 1 point to qualify to get this house, and they had other offers for more money.
Like, well, so we came and looked through the house, and we're like, oh, okay, we'll see if we can get it for this much, and our realtor was like, they already have multiple offers
for more. And
oh my gosh.
So normally they take the highest offer, and the day we knew the day and time they were going to be meeting at the house with their realtor, the 2 executors, and we were kind of antsy to wait. It was 2 days after we made our offer, and they probably had 12, because the real estate market even 2 years ago was hot here. And we drove around, and I remember there's a street that's right over here next to our house. We pulled down that street, and I said, Zeb, pull over. My nerves were, I'm usually cool as a cucumber.
You are.
My nerves were shot, and we said a prayer, and we just said, you know, if this is what's supposed to be, we know that there's nothing that's going to stop it, right? So if this is what you want to happen, we need a miracle, because we knew that it was a long shot that they would even accept our offer, being that they're in a state, and when you have 12 siblings, they're not going to usually agree to accept less than. But we didn't know that our realtor had wrote a little letter about us and included it in our offer. And so when they got multiple offers, a lot of them were.
And she's a friend, so she knew a lot about us.
Like what kind of letter? Like was it like what kind of letter? Like a testimonial to like this couple and how hard they work and their family, and they like.
I didn't see the letter, but I think that was the gist of it. You know, she really pitched to them that we were a family wanting to, you know, do something fun with the house and live here, not just flip it and use it as a rental or sell it off to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
It had been updated.
That we would honor the house and have a family here, because their family had been raised here. They've raised their 6 kids here.
Wow.
As far as I know, since 1917, it's been somebody in their family has lived in their home, in this home. So we were the first non-family members in over 100 years to own the home, and I think that made them feel like, okay, we're passing it on to somebody that can honor our parents' legacy. In fact, the very last day we were supposed to close, I had to have one of the brothers sign something. And so we went into his home, and he talked to us for a little bit, and he told us that they felt like that we would honor their parents, and that's why they picked us. So it's kind of one of those things. It's just, it was meant to be. In 18 months, I thought that maybe that was just happenstance more than once, because I was like, what did we get ourselves into? I am so tired. Who remodels a 100-year-old house and builds a 2,600 square foot addition with 0 construction experience? Like that.
You do.
We did it. I mean, it's still progress. It still has some stuff that needs to get done. That you know, sometimes we call it putting a lipstick on a pig, right? Because we can make it look real good for pictures, but then you come in here and you're like, oh,
Yeah, people
that
come in and
trim's
we
not
have to
even
explain stuff.
that trim's not painted yet. How long are you gonna let that ride? I'm like 2029.
Yes, however long you need to. So you guys bought the farmhouse, and Jamie, you mentioned something about a story that something you found or something that it was supposed to meant to be, or somebody in your, what was that? Do you?
Oh. So Zeb, we call it a shirt tail relative. Like
Okay.
Zeb's, we're related to one of the daughter-in-laws of the Webb family. So we found out, like, after we'd lived here, well, after we've owned the property for about a year, we found out that Zeb's great-great-great-grandfather was one of the original settlers of the city of Lehigh. He came from Sweden in the mid-1800s to Lehigh, and he's buried in the cemetery with a big old pioneer headstone and everything. And so we started to do a little family history and found out that we were actually related to the Webb family through marriage. And so that was kind of fun for us to know that, you know, it's still in the family.
Yeah, no kidding. Anne says, am I the only one that's all teary from this story? She loves it, and it's so special. It is so special.
I got a little teary myself a few times.
Some of it was because we were in pain.
Some of it because you were literally bleeding.
True story. Took a picture of ourselves the day the appraiser, like, it's funny because when we finished it the very last day of 2020, like December 31st, 2020. We slept 2 out of 5 nights. The appraiser had already been there once before because we financed the entire construction ourselves, and so we needed to refinance to pull some of that back out.
We were basically broke by the time we got done.
Yeah, we needed to pull some of that back out because we used hundreds of thousands of dollars to do the house, and so, and if we didn't qualify, it's always to the last minute with us. If we didn't qualify or finish that day, we would have had to completely resubmit everything.
So New Year's Eve last year was the last at 10 a.m. was when they came. The inspector came and gave us the stamp of approval. The appraiser said, okay, it's worth this much. Send it over to the bank, and they funded our refinance.
Yeah, and we were able to pull out, not all of what we put into it, but pull out a chunk of what we put into it and get a better interest rate. Our payment was actually exactly the same because the first time we financed, our credit wasn't like perfect, and so we worked, while we worked on the house, we also worked on our like financial position so we could get a conventional loan, which in and of itself is a miracle. But we have this picture of Zeb and I in this half bath here, and we're wrecked, and we're like, done in 2020.
We had like 10 hours of sleep in 4 days.
I slept on the floor in my master bedroom one night for like 30-minute power nap, and we did already have a couch in this formal living area because it got delivered because I thought we'd be done.
You were too dirty to get on that couch.
I laid a blanket down and slept on that for like 10 minutes one night because
you were too sweaty.
Yeah.
But you guys,
dirty.
tell me, and because some of people on here right now may not know you like I do. So tell me a little bit about during this time, because some people are listening going, wow, this is a really impressive story. How did you, A, stay married? How did you parent 5 kids through this? Because, you know, you always hear that thing, you know, if a couple's really strong, if they can build a house together. Guys, you didn't just build a house. You did so much more, and you videoed the whole thing. Did you ever think, I'm not saying that, did you ever think there's no way we're going to survive this? That's not what I mean. But did you ever think, maybe we could just walk away from this right now and we'd be better off?
No, because it was one of those dreams that we had had for a while to go and find a home that, you know, and we were living it, right? So while you're in the middle of it, it doesn't seem quite as hard, I think, when you have that perspective. Because this was just something, I mean, there were definitely days like when we, even from the get-go, there was so much insulation, and they used to have a coal burning stove in here, and it was this thick up in the ceiling. And we opened the ceiling up. I can show you in a minute if you want to see.
We'll show you the ceiling, not the insulation.
But we opened the ceiling up and took all that insulation out, and it was just nasty, gross. It was August, and I mean, I probably took like 6 huge trailer loads of just insulation out of the house.
Wow.
And, you know, those days where it's like 100 plus and I'm in long sleeves and wearing a respirator and got like the whole gear on, it was pretty miserable. And there was a few times like that when we did the roof, also August the next year, and I was wearing shoes, but I got blisters on my feet. It was so hot. that, you know, and I'm like walking around, but I had to get it done because we also had storms coming and I had like 3-day window to finish it. So things
Guys,
like that, we're like, oh man, maybe this isn't worth it.
There were times that we never thought that we were gonna like throw the towel in, but because we paid cash for the stuff, we didn't have. It's not like when we started we had this money in the bank, right? So
yeah.
we were like, well, if we can do what we can with what we have, we could move into it like this, and then we'll just do it as we get it. Like we're constantly reevaluating. Like if this is all the further we can go, how can we live in it as is? So that way we're not carrying the rent of the place that we live in plus our house. One of the things that people might not know is we bought this house in July, and in August, the gal that owned the store that I rented a space from said, in 30 days, I'm not going to be renting here anymore. My lease is up and you'll have to find somewhere else to go. And I was like, I just bought a house and I have to have somewhere to sell my stuff. And there's nowhere else in town. So guess who opened a store 1 month after we bought the house?
Yeah,
It's you.
the lease over, and I had to take about, I think I took
11 days.
I think it took a total of about 3 days myself, but from the time that we owned the lease to the time we opened the shop was 11 days. And
Oh my gosh.
like 3 days to build a few displays and a table and things and help Jamie where I could, but I was back over here most of the time. Like a lot of that was Jamie.
I just figured, you know what, like it's not gonna be perfect, but my saying of done is better than perfect. We only had like, I am always in awe of these people that are like, oh, I'm going to open a shop in 3 months. I'm like, you have enough money to go 3 months of rent without making any money? Like we just didn't, because we had this house that we had to put everything into.
Yeah.
So then we went to France with you guys. So there was
Luckily, those tickets were already
yeah.
paid for, so we were like, all right, it's already done. Let's go take a breather. And that was
They couldn't back out on us because they'd already paid for it, which I mean,
yeah,
you could
it was
have.
much needed.
You could have, but it was very much needed. You guys, what do you I know about your faith, but how many times did your faith come into play during this entire process?
You or me? I'll go first while you think about it.
Well, I don't really got to think about it. I
Okay.
just, the question pops up, right? How much does our faith play into like our everyday life? And
Yes.
for Jamie
Yes.
and I mean, that's where we start, is our faith. And then we go and then we're like, okay, today I have to do this and then we got to do this. And it's all through faith that we just, one foot in front of the other. I don't think we make any decision without including the Lord in it. Just because we found that if we try to do it on our own, it just doesn't work out very good.
No, we always screw up. Like every time that we try to do it on our own. And sometimes like we pray and we don't listen or we get stubborn. But there were many times, we had a few times in particular where there was just like some things that we just didn't know how to solve. Because when you're taking a old house and a new construction and you're mushing it together, there's just things that aren't like black and white, like building just a house from blueprints. And there were times that Zeb and I would just say, okay, we're going to pray about it and we're going to go to bed. And the next morning we would wake up and Zeb would be like, I have this idea. And it wasn't like he had an idea, it's that we prayed about it and God put it in his heart. And I remember one particular day, we did a lot of dividing and conquering, and we had to put in insulation. I don't know if you've ever installed insulation before, but it's no job for the
It's about as bad as tearing it out.
It's
Not me. Not me personally. That guy crawls around in the insulation all the time, but not this girl.
It's bad. And Zeb was working on putting it in the ceiling, and so I had the job of installing 2,600 square feet of wall insulation. And we had the inspector coming, and we decided we didn't work on Sunday. We actually, in a year and a half, we only wound up working the last 2 Sundays before we closed. It's one of our things with our faith. That's the day that we take off. And so we had decided we're not going to work on Sunday, but we'll wake up at like 2 a.m. on Monday morning, because then that's no longer the Sabbath, and we will get this insulation done. And I kept praying, like, how am I going to get this done in time? And I'm itching and I'm crying. And we actually didn't wind up getting it finished in time, but the inspector wound up coming back the next day and it was done. But one of the things that was impressed in my heart that just kept going through my mind is, when we do all that we can, the Lord makes up the rest. Because the truth is, we can't do it all. We're always going to fall short of perfection. And it's the knowledge of that and being able to hand it over that allows us to actually accomplish anything.
That is so wonderful. So much positivity, you guys. I don't know about you guys, but y'all are listening, and I know you must be inspired just by hearing your story. I have watched my friends, and I would see videos, and I would see clips, and I would see images, and I would think, how much more can they take?
We were there too.
Yeah, I'm like, there's holes in the ground. There's a huge hole in their backyard. What is happening? And I would think, oh my goodness. But I also know how strong you are with your faith, because I have spent so much time with you, and it's very admirable. Claudia says he will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. Psalm 91:4. So thank you for sharing that, Claudia. All of this, meanwhile, did you do the 5 videos a day?
There were a few times when we missed, but
we're worse about it now.
But pretty consistently, we hit 4 to 5 videos a week.
We transitioned into lives.
Yeah, we started doing Waste Not Wednesday pretty consistently, which is a live video we do on YouTube. And then our Saturday thrift haul we already had established, so we made sure we did that. And then usually Monday, I would take the footage from last week, because I had tons of footage. I was just out here filming the whole time.
Yeah.
And just kind of compile it, and it made its own story, and we talk a little bit about it. Matt can never come over here and look and see my electrical work because, you know, my dad's an electrical engineer, and I spent probably about 3 weeks on the phone with him trying to figure things out, how best to run things. But at the end of the day, I still was the one pulling the wire and putting it together with no experience. And, you know, it passed inspection, it meets code, but I'm sure there's a better way to do it.
Hey, if I can install all of the wood flooring, you can do the electrical. It's fine. He kept telling me, Dionne, he kept saying, as soon as I finish this up, I will come help you with the flooring. And then it was, as soon as I finish this up, I will help you with the shiplap. 5,000 pieces of shiplap later. Because
I made
you always underestimate how long things are going to take, so it just took him doing what he could do, and I doing what I could do, and then literally by the time we were done, like, our bodies were shot. I don't think we could have done any more, but it's funny because you say, like, how much more can you take? And then this last year, we were supposed to buy the store that we own, and then it got sold out from underneath us, and I was devastated. And a few
the store we're leasing.
Yeah, we're releasing. And we still lease there, like, they're not kicking us out or anything, but we really wanted to own it because, like this house, we'd like to make it our own. And a couple weeks after they went under contract, I had this idea, and I looked at Zeb, and I guess I shouldn't look at Zeb because then it's all over after that. I said, what about that? What about that church?
She's got lots of ideas, and I'm an enabler. She's like, you think you can do this? I'm like, well, I haven't found anything I've tried that I can't do yet. I mean, not necessarily well, but we can get it done.
Well, I was like, what about that church? And he's like, well, is it for sale? And I'm like, well, no, but you got to ask, right? So I had my realtor look up who it was, and we contacted him, and I said, you know, this is crazy, but would you consider selling your, because it's been a residence since 1960?
1954.
Well, 1954 is when it stopped being a church, and then these people bought it in 1960, and they've lived there ever since. And so I said, you know, would you be interested in it, selling it to us? Would you throw out a number? And it took him a minute to get back to me. And then he said, well, you know, people have asked us to buy it forever. It's actually the oldest church in Utah County. And he said, it's the first person I've really ever responded to. And I feel like it's time. And so that was like,
that's huge, Jamie.
A long time.
That was also a long shot and one of those things we weren't expecting. So it's been a process to try to
We're still not
get
done.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
So where we're at right now with the church, because people always ask us, is the appraisal's in. It appraised for enough. The environment was done last week. We are finishing up with the hardest part is finishing up our taxes with our CPA for 2020.
Yeah.
And then it's been given internal approval at the bank, and now after this week it will go to the SBA. And we also had to change the zoning on it. So we've been working on getting the zoning changed with the city, which has been a whole new experience for me.
Oh man, that's way up here over my head. So tell everybody who doesn't know about this church that you're working on purchasing, tell everybody what the plan is. What do you see? What are you envisioning?
So they built a 2-story house inside of the chapel because it's just a big chapel with like a stage on the back and a huge fireplace. But then they built a 2-story house inside of it. So we've got to take that out. And then we're going to make it our shop and our warehouse for our online shipping and things. And There's some rooms upstairs. We want to do classes, have some studios available, things like that. So lots of fun plans. Kind of make it like a destination. We're going to try to do like some greenhouse stuff possibly, and a garden outside. And it's on a half acre. We've got a little bit of space to do some things with. So it should be really fun. Huge plans, and we'll see how long that takes to bring that around.
Zeb's always optimistic, like it's already a done deal. And then for me, I'm like, I used to do mortgages. That's a whole nother world of mine. Long before I ever did painting furniture, for about 11 years, I did every job you can think of in mortgages. So I know that it is not over until the funding lady sings and it records. So I'm always the skeptic. Zeb's like, oh, it's going to be good. And I'm over here like, oh, it's never going to happen. Like, how are the underwriters going to approve this? Because I know, like, risk, layering, all that kind of stuff makes sense to me. So I'm trying to be optimistic. It's been a long process because that was like February. It took us forever to get under contract, and we changed the zoning, and now we're like the last little bit of stuff before the SBA. But hopefully
it'll be last minute like all our stuff.
Nothing ever just happens easy. God never says like, here it is, I gift wrap this for you. He's like,
no,
test your faith to the very last minute.
No, if you really want it, you got to work so hard for it, right? Like if you really want it. So let me ask you, why do you want it so badly that you will go through all of this? Like it's a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people are just going to turn around and say it's too much. It's too much.
So real quick little backstory. I grew up going to old buildings and like caving in roofs and houses and stuff because my mom has always had this dream. We used to go to this old schoolhouse in Arizona. The floors are like falling apart. It's crumbling around us, and she's like walking through and she can see what she wants everything to be, and she's talking to us about it. And then they got another little house, and they finally purchased this old mercantile store down in Arizona, and then an earthquake got it and they had to tear it down. And we've been driving by this church since 2007 and just, you know, who's in that church? Who's in there? Who's, you know, it could be so awesome. What's going on with that? No one can come see it. No one can come in it. It's like this icon for the community that, you know, my ancestors went to church in this building. It was the only church for a while in the area. Yeah. So they built another one in like the early 1900s. But so we've been driving by it, and it's just been one of those dreams that's kind of finally starting to come to fruition that, you know, we always thought was impossible, right? Like I was working at the tire shop and she was flipping furniture on the side and selling it on Facebook, and we were barely scraping by and paying for dance lessons. And, you know, It's a huge building. It's 5,000 square feet on half an acre in a really popular area here in Utah. So to even be able to buy it is a huge blessing and a miracle in itself.
It absolutely is. I'm over the moon excited, and I'm coming to visit.
Yeah.
We're getting you a classroom because I know you wanted to come this last summer, and I was like,
you can have the whole stage. We'll put you up on there.
We're just not ready for you, but I'm like, I want a place where people can come and be inspired. And I feel like, especially with all of the things that have been going on in the world, COVID hit last year. Yeah. We've got some major political turmoil on all sides. You've got rioting. You've got what's recently been happening in Afghanistan, and all of these things. And I feel like when we remember where people have been and what they have been able to accomplish and made it through, it gives us power to say, I can do this. And I feel like there is soul in historic buildings, and so many times they just get tossed aside or torn down. Yeah. And this home was built in 1917, 2 years before the Spanish flu, right? 1919 or 1918, maybe it was a year before. And I thought, you know, we thought, oh, how are we ever going to get through this pandemic? And then I remembered the people that lived in this house, they've been through a pandemic. They made it. They made it to the other side. They lived, and life goes on, right? And I feel like with older buildings, it reminds us that life goes on. Like, how do you know where you're going unless you know where you've been?
Absolutely. I think the restoration of the old buildings to me is so inspiring. And I always, if these walls could talk, you know, if these walls, the trials and the things they went through, that on days where it was rough, I can see how you thought, if they did it, I can. If they can, I can. Like, I have to be able to do this and honor that family like you promised to do so. But with the church, I am so stinking excited. You know, that just, I would want to do that too. You know, I would want to take that church and turn it into something. So you're going to have your warehouse, you're going to have a shop in the front, you're going to have workshops and meeting place and like a destination place, right? Where you sell like all of your merchandise and everything.
Yeah.
There's also, so there's a church. So the original church was built in 1894, and then the addition was actually built in 1917, same year as his house. And it's close to home, which is important to us because with our kids, we're running everywhere, right? So that was another factor. We need to have somewhere that's close enough that
we don't want to be driving the next town.
We don't have time to be in the car a long time.
No.
So, and it also has a 4-car, we'll call it a garage, but it's more like a shed.
It's big.
It's big, but we're not tearing it down because it's really close to the property line, so we're going to make it better.
It's grandfathered in because it's not probably to code.
Yeah, well, it's too close. It's too close to the property line, so we're leaving it there. But that's going to be Zeb's workshop because he's never had a place where he can just have all of his tools and have space to properly work. We've always I feel like we've been working like this.
Yeah.
For so long that we want to actually have a proper workspace, and then in the back. We don't know what we're going to do with it yet, but there's what used to be the bishop's storehouse where they would store food and things for the needy, and people would pay tithes and they would give them to people who needed it. And this was a little cottage.
In the early 1900s, they paid tithes in like actual goods.
Like
so corn and flour and, you know.
Yeah, so there's like the original cottage that was there. It was the bishop's storehouse. So that was fun little living out there. And so there's just a lot of opportunity for growth, and it's just, you know, it's funny because when we moved here, we didn't know we had any heritage. We kind of felt like fish out of water when we moved to Utah 13 years ago, whenever Harrington was like
2007,
5.
So 14 years ago.
We didn't know why we were supposed to be here, but the more we research it and find out his family history and the history of Lehigh, it's made it feel like home for us.
Yeah. So we're both from Arizona, if you didn't know. So we're transplanted up here, but a lot of my family came from here to Arizona, my ancestors and things. So, you know, lots of history for me. And even Jamie is discovering that she has tons of extended family up here.
I love that. And so would you consider yourself visionaries?
Oh, I don't know.
Would you call us missionaries?
Visionaries.
Visionaries.
I see you as such a visionary.
Like the Bible?
It's a big word, and I see it because I see you guys. Like, that's what I wrote down while you guys were talking. Like, it was just a word that came to me, and I'm like, I feel like I'm going to call him that. And I don't really even know what the definition is. It just came to me, and I'm like, my friends are such visionaries.
So I'm definitely a dreamer. And Jamie makes the dreams real because she doesn't like to put her energy towards anything that she knows she can't accomplish. So, you know, when we get these big goals and we start knocking them down, I'm like, what's next? What are we going to do next? It's fun.
I feel like where you spend your time and your energy, that is the story of your life.
Yes, ma'am.
And I always, from the time I was a little girl, believed that you own your story.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So what do you want it to be about? And so I can't imagine not believing in myself and believing in us, because if we don't believe in each other, who's gonna do that? Like, you have that power that nobody else can give to you, because you know that you can have control over your life. And you know what? It could all be gone tomorrow. It could all be gone tomorrow. We saw recently with the hurricanes that were in Louisiana, people have lost their whole livelihood, all the things they've ever built.
But if tomorrow, and things going on.
Yeah, if tomorrow everything were washed away and all that remained were my husband and my family, I'd be okay.
And we haven't even really talked about the kids much. They were here in the trenches with us. I mean, Harrington, I didn't have a crane or a hoist or anything that we could get around the back of the house. So Harrington and I took 2 boat winches and we winched up the trusses 20 feet in the air onto the 2nd story. And he helped me build the whole roof like that. I mean, and Odelia's watching the kids, watching Jack and Redrick. It was in the middle of football season and cheer season when we were in crunch time, which, you know, one of the things we got started down this road because Jamie wanted to have a few extra bucks so she could pay for dance recitals and dance for the girls. And so that Harrington could go to football camps and things like that. So really, I mean, we have these big dreams and these big goals, but the reason we really do it is for the family and the kids, and making sure that they have every opportunity that we can provide for them.
So that they help do it with us, because I feel like there's so much more enjoyment in what you have when you work for it. And I feel like that's lost a lot these days. Kids don't get the opportunity to literally build the home that they live in. And I hope that it's a legacy that they can pass on to their kids. We didn't really talk about it, but a year ago, my dad was in bad health. Like COVID had happened. The doctors in Arizona weren't helping him. We were trying to get this house finished. We were about to launch our wholesale line. That's another story for another day. And my dad had a couple months to live. He wasn't walking. And I told Zeb, I said, I just feel like we need to go get him. This was on Tuesday night. Wednesday, we go live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. And I said, let's do our live and let's go to Arizona. Let's get my dad. So we're in the middle of building this house. We still have the rental house, and we drove to Arizona and we picked up my mom and dad. We had no idea what we were going to do, but I said, we've got to get him. We've got to get him to some better medical care. And at that point, they said he might, if he had surgery, live 6 months, maybe. And he, after about a month or so of being here, maybe a month and a half.
So he had the surgery, and then he was over here every day because he's a contractor in California for a lot of years. He was over here every day after that, helping me with the house.
You gave him life, man. You gave him that motivation, right? Like to heal and get better. Don't you feel that?
Yeah,
I feel like he gave us life. You know what I mean? Like
I know, but you traded off. Like he needed you just as much as you needed him.
Well, so
and my mom was home with the kids too. Like the other thing is, like, when you're so busy, kids need nurturing whether you're busy or not. And the heart of a mom and the heart of a mother, whether it's a grandmother, mother, whatever, does so much. And while my girls were trying so hard to be there with my boys while we were so busy, and we were trying to have them here as often as we could, it was so helpful for my kids to have grandma home. Somebody to snuggle with, somebody to read them a story or watch a show with. In fact, even now, my parents live with us still. It's a year later. My dad's still kicking. He's had, I don't even know how many surgeries. We actually just went to the heart doctor last week and got a good deal of help for his heart. But my kids,
now.
We have a bunch of space in this house. We actually have a ginormous TV and couch out here in the family room just over here. And my kids, 9 times out of 10, will be found in my parents' room. They have twin beds like Ricky and Lucy. And snuggling up next to grandma watching TV or whatever news show that my dad happens to be watching because they're close to their grandparents. And it was a crazy decision, and it was hard for them to leave Arizona, but they needed the care that we had up here, and it's worked out.
Well, it's been good for your mom too. She's had some health issues as well.
So we go to lots of doctor's appointments.
Yeah, but it's working out, and really that connection that you gave everybody, it's irreplaceable, isn't it? It's so many families don't get that opportunity to make that connection with their grandparents. It's just, you can't replace that for anything in the world.
Yeah. No, my dad's itching for the church. He's like, I gotta live long.
We got to get another project going so that he's got some reason to get up in the morning.
I love that so much.
Smiling face isn't enough for him. He told me that doesn't do it for him.
Aw, tell me, Jamie, 18 months later, or 2 years later now, what have you learned about yourself that you never, ever, ever imagined to be true?
I'm capable way more than I thought. Because there were a lot of things that I just figured that Zeb would do because he's the man and I'm a girl, and that's like it's a little dirty situation. So I'll just be here helping out, sweeping out the sandwich. And the truth is, when your husband is literally sweating buckets, building your dream home, and you realize that like there are just some things that one human cannot do, but if I help out, then how much is that less that he has to do? And so I just realized that I was capable of that. And I feel like some people, they talk a lot about how if you build a house together, how can you survive a marriage? But I don't know if it's true for Zeb. I'll let him say his piece on it. But I have to say, I love my husband so much more than I did 2 years ago. The things that we've been through, the experiences that we'll never share because they're too personal, the way that we were able to get closer to God through each other and through hard work. Yeah, you can't put a price tag on that. And I feel like now when things are hard and they come to us, that we are prepared to handle that. And it would have never happened. Like literally, we could have just bought a new house, and we could have moved in and lived happily ever after. But there's so many more things that wouldn't have happened. And we thought no joke, we thought when we get this house, it's going to be YouTube gold and we're going to have 1 million subscribers. Like we thought that was like so far from the truth because it was so hard to create good content, and our channel has grown, but not in the way that we thought and what we think.
So what did you learn about Zeb during this process, Jamie?
He's Superman. You know, everybody thinks their husband can do everything, but I know that my husband can.
I don't know about everything, but
hey,
you know.
Oh no, I'm Team Zeb.
You asked
Zeb
what we learned about ourselves, right?
Zeb can do it. Zeb can do anything. I'm on Team Zeb. Like he can. He's a hero.
So anything that I've ever tried to do, you know, it's you're not the master builder the first house you build, right? Or the first piece of wood you turn on the lathe. It's always line upon line, precept upon precept, grace upon grace. And that's with everything, whether it's our marriage, whether it's building a house. I mean, I probably spent as much time watching YouTube videos on how to do certain things, so make sure, and looking up what the code actually was, so that I knew exactly what I needed to do to pass the inspections. And also, you know, we're going to live here. We want this house to be safe. We want it to last another 100 years. It's already over 100. How do we make that happen? And so, you know, it's, I think you can do anything if you start little and you work on it a little piece at a time. To look at the house now and be like, oh man, we did all that. It was a 1.5-year process. It wasn't like an overnight thing that we were instantly at. And you know, that's probably one of the biggest lessons that I've taken home from it is, you know what, if you want to try something, go for it. You don't have to be the best at it right off the bat, and you don't even have to be the best at it when you finish. But as long as you have the end result, nothing else matters. It's what you have. And you know, Jamie and I together, growing through that experience, you know, I'd be lying if we didn't have rough days on where the outlets should be placed, or you know, where they're going to be in the picture for her pretty shot after the house is done. You know, but that was the kind of stuff that we argued about. And if that's the only thing that we have to put a bandage on at the end of the day, then I feel like we're really winning.
Well, I think it's not about like never having a disagreement. It's about loving somebody enough that when the disagreement happens, that even if you're not happy with what the outcome is, you're willing to keep moving on and moving forward because you love that person more than any agreement or disagreement. Like never let a problem to be solved be more important than a person to be loved. And I feel like
I love it. You guys one day are going to write a book, right?
It's mostly written, actually. I just, you know, it's one of those things that has been pushed way back in the back burner because we got other things that are more pertinent going on.
Somebody better write it besides me, because if anybody has ever read my social media posts.
You do great. Are you kidding me? You do great.
Phone. Her phone's very aggressive in the
autocorrect, the punctuation. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I promise I can speak English, but I don't. Well, it's really me typing it on something that's incorrect. And I was a little bit self-conscious about that, but I recently been really following Martha Stewart. Same thing. You know Martha wrote it when it's not grammatically correct.
I love that. Well, someone needs to volunteer just to listen to their story and write it out for you guys. So they can just follow behind you and just write while you guys speak and do your thing that you do so well. You guys, so many of you have popped on here that have never met the Rays before. And this is Jamie and Zeb Ray of Jami Ray Vintage. They are in Lehi, Utah, and we're all going to visit them one day when they get their church opened up. And I'm positive. So Jamie, I have to say it's going to happen. It's happening. Okay. So we're all going to Lehi one of these days. We're going to bring our families. And I think it was Rob on here that said there's got to be a candy store up front that says Jack's Shop.
You know, ironically, Big Jack is diabetic, and he can't stay out of the sweets. He loves them.
Oh shoot.
We have to monitor that amongst many other things.
But I think he would love it if it was named after him.
Yeah. Or Little Jack.
That's true.
So,
I think Rob probably meant Little Jack, but I could be wrong. But I was just thinking Jack.
Well, we've got both, and Little Jack also needs to stay out of the sweets because his teeth are falling out of his face.
That's another episode. How to get your kids to brush their teeth.
Oh God, that's a whole episode. That's a whole month of stories right there. Is how do you do that? You guys, I'm always inspired by you. I love you both so much, and I'm just so happy just to have you for this 45 minutes that you gave me today. I am going to also be interviewing them this week on the podcast, and that will come out in a week or two. So those of you listening right now, you will get to hear more of their story. We're going to go back to the beginning a little bit in the podcast and dive in just a little bit deeper. So, Jami and Zeb, tell everybody where they can find you and hear more about your stories and see all of your projects.
Jami knows. She knows all the places.
You can shop JamiRayVintage.com and on all the social media at Jami Ray Vintage. So Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just Jami Ray.
Awesome. One of the ladies was on here asking, where are the videos? How can I see all of this? And you can see them almost daily if you go follow them on YouTube. And like I said, you're doing lives now because it's just easier, right? It's just easier.
Yeah, we do 2 lives a week and about 2 edited videos a week right now. But if you want to watch the house from start to finish, I have them in chronological order in a playlist. It's called Farmhouse Remodel on YouTube. If you just go find that playlist, there's like 100 videos in there on the house coming together.
So much, and it's not HGTV where they do it in 30 minutes.
No, and they don't have all these helpers and a whole film crew behind them either. They are working their tails off themselves. Also, if you are a subscriber to the journal, they're featured in issue 4. That link to the playlist is also in there. Everybody, I'm going to sign off. You guys, I know y'all have so much to do, Zeb and Jami, so thank you so much for your time. I love and appreciate you both.
Love you.
Well, thank you for having us. You were also inspiring. Keep at it and keep growing.
I know. Except look what Dionne's doing. She's doing something else. Look what Dionne's doing.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Have a good day. I'll see you later.
Bye.
See ya.